Hello, everyone. It's Amy Armstrong here, joining you with another RCPC interview. Today, we are sitting down with Meredith Fuson-Hill. Hi, Meredith.
Hi, Amy.
Meredith's going to share her story about her health issues and concerns that she was suffering from, how she found the RCP and eventually ended up at the Institute studying to become a root cause protocol consultant. So Meredith, tell us about your life prior to finding the RCP. Tell us about the issues that you were suffering with your health.
Well, so I have quite a few, despite by trade being a dietitian, I do, I've struggled with a lot of things throughout my life, from the normal childhood things like ear infections and strep throat over and over to severe acne as a teenager. The fatigue really started in college. So fatigue, the depression, anxiety, things like that, GI issues, irritable bowel syndrome. Let's see, I've had obviously brain fog is one of my issues I still find challenging. Some female issues like adenomyosis, and even some rather perplexing issues like rhabdomyolysis I've had 3 times throughout my lifetime. Have really kind of taken a toll on me, I think, overall, physically, but there's the emotional aspect that I tend to brush under the rug, kind of sweep it away, ignore that. But it's all just taken a kind of a cumulative effect on me. I feel like it's all added up, and here I am. I'm grateful for the RCP and where it's gotten me today.
And so tell us about the last thing that you mentioned, the rhabdomyosis.
Rhabdomyolysis. Yeah, it's where your muscle tissue rapidly breaks down and can cause permanent kidney damage. I've had 3 different episodes in my lifetime, and they never really caught it and understood it until the 3rd episode, when my liver enzymes were in the 700s and all these other crazy labs. They rushed me to the emergency room, and I was in the hospital for 8 nights. Never really figured out what happened. I mean, having gone through the RCP, I have an idea now what it could have been. But just really strange things happening. That was probably the most serious one, but that was back in my 20s, so it's been a little while.
Yeah. And so how did all these symptoms express themselves? What were you actually, how was your energy and your I mean, you mentioned the brain fog already, but how have you been feeling all this time?
Yeah, so definitely the brain fog, the chronic fatigue syndrome, that was officially diagnosed in 2019, before COVID hit and all that. But the energy was just non-existent. But I was going through a lot of stress emotionally, a lot of changes in my life were happening. It was just almost debilitating, but I physically just had to press on. I had to go to work. I had to take care of my boys. I had to, it all kind of happened all at one time, it feels like, and especially it came to a head when I moved from Virginia down here to South Carolina. I really started to question, if I feel like this now, at the time I was 39, how am I going to even be able to function in 5 years? How am I going to function enough to take care of myself? It was really pretty scary. And I know that a lot of people have it way worse, but I was really it was just bone crushing tired, like just you know, how am I going to get to the next day?
Yeah,
Being
absolutely.
too tired to get up and go into the kitchen and cook anything. And it was, and that in itself was depressing, and,
Yeah,
which
does
creates
affect the
this
mind,
vicious
doesn't
cycle.
it? Mm.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
what sort of things, before you found the RCP and embarked on that journey, what sort of things had you tried?
Oh, well, of course, as a dietitian, I've tried every type of diet, every cleanse, every supplement, um, you name it. I've tried even buying physical things. I got an what is it called? An IntelliBed. It's an organic cotton mattress, not cheap at all. I've done, I had my breast implants removed because I thought, well, maybe this is all my symptoms are because I could potentially have breast implant illness. That didn't make a difference. Um, but diet, supplements, and of course, taking the wrong supplements. Not looking back, they were all of the things that just kind of added to the illness, I think. Um, Things like that. But it was my last kind of effort was I came across someone who was big on like doing parasite cleanses,
Mm.
and her business title was very similar to the root cause protocol. And when I was Googling it, trying to go back and find something she had said, I stumbled upon the root cause protocol, and it changed my life. So yeah.
Ah, so some sort of divine intervention there.
Yeah.
You just happened to Google something so close to, yeah. I mean, that term is bandied around so much in the health world now, isn't it? That, let's get to the root cause. But from an RCPC perspective, that root cause is really those foundational minerals and getting them balanced. So tell us a little bit more about finding the RCP and starting that.
All right. So I went as soon as I came across the RCP, I was like, what is this? Oh, you can get a free manual, the RCP handbook, or manual it was called at the time. So I downloaded it, started looking through it, just blew my mind, because everything on the stops list is what I'd been doing. So, wow, maybe there's something to this, because at a certain point you have to stop and think, if everything I'm doing so far isn't working, maybe you need to change it,
Yeah.
So I downloaded the handbook. I was just fascinated. I just could not get enough of what Morley had to say about the reasoning behind all of it. So I was constantly listening, on my way to and from work, even on my lunch break, while I was getting ready in the mornings, while I was doing the dishes in the evening, whatever, just listening to everything that I could, his videos on YouTube. Um, and then I'm like, okay, I need more of this. Where can I get more? And then also at the same time, okay, you can talk to somebody about this. You can look in this directory for root cause protocol consultants and talk with someone. Okay. Uh, and there's testing that can be done. Let me do it. Sign me up. So I reached out to a couple of people, and I did end up very early on working with, her name was April. She's wonderful. And she helped me through. She really took some time with me and explained it, in two separate consults, like kind of what was going on, and really wanted to hear my background. How was I feeling? What kind of stress? And nobody's really ever asked me that before.
Yeah.
And I just always kind of had this mentality, well, yeah, I have stress. Everybody's under stress.
Mm.
It's the world we live in. We all have our own stresses and our own perceptions of it. So move on,
Yeah.
but really got to slow down and take a minute and look at it. And it's validating when you can talk with someone about that and then relate that stress to the testing you had done. So she was great there. I remember, okay, I did not do things as you were supposed to. All these supplements, this is what the protocol is. Let me order them all at once and just start, almost start taking. don't do that. Learn from my mistakes. Take it from me. Don't do that. Go slow. But I did, start on the supplements. I did my first blood donation about 3 weeks after finding the RCP. It was like, oh, he says donate blood. That's going to help. All right, I'll face my fear and my history of fainting every time I have blood drawn, if this is what is going to get me a little bit closer to feeling better. So I did my first blood donation. It was May 19th of 2021. And that is still to this day the best night's sleep I've ever had. I slept so good. I still remember, like, oh my gosh, like, is blood donations going to be almost addicting? But anyway, whether it was coincidence or not, it did give me more motivation to keep going. Okay, something.
Absolutely. And you do hear of people saying that, they walk out of the donation center and it's like the fog has lifted. It's almost this instant result from actually donating. So that's fantastic to hear that and it motivated you to continue, obviously. So at what point, aside from the blood donation, at what point did you really start to notice a difference?
I started to notice that I could function a little bit better, a little bit more with ease. It wasn't as hard and to just go about my day, so I would definitely say, and I mean, I have a long way to go still. There's a lot of healing. I'm 41 years old, so there's many years. I'm not going to get better overnight. But a lot of the depression, I think some of the brain fog, of course, it has its good days and bad days. But the energy just started to improve.
Yeah, and that's fantastic to hear. And so often I know the clients that I work with, it can be one of the first things they begin to notice is that just that they can get through their day a little bit better and they're a little bit more resilient to the stresses that are around them that haven't changed, but the way that they're perceiving that stress is, is better. Were you finding that as well within your own ability to cope with stress?
Yes, I am. And I mean, it would be, I was undergoing a lot of stress and a lot of changes. So with moving, I moved in October of 2020, like I said, from Virginia to South Carolina. But then I did also have, like a relationship healing, repair. So there was that. And just a lot of changes. So it's to be expected that, maybe if they weren't there, I didn't have another move from an apartment to a full-blown household like I'm in now, maybe, that wouldn't have slowed the healing process so much. But, it is what it is. Kind of jump right in and but again, the timing is never going to be perfect. So like, kind of going back to the timeline, when I downloaded the RCP handbook, it was April 24th. I just kind of went back and confirmed that. So April 21st or 24th, and then did my work with April and June and July. Well, July, we moved into this new house. So there was that going on. July is also when the RCP Institute classes began. So I joined at the last minute because, I want to get better yesterday, like a lot of people. I want to start feeling good now. And so I just couldn't wait. I knew I was moving. Maybe I should wait, but I was impatient and just wanted to get my hands again on as much information as I could.
Yeah. And so I guess that, that leads us into my next question about actually going to the Institute and studying the RCP in more detail. what made you take that plunge? Are you hoping to use that in a professional sense as well? Or at the time, were you just searching for more information to help you heal yesterday?
Both. I really, really still just knew I had a lot of room for improvement for myself in the way I felt. But also knowing that I could use this as an adjunct, service to being a dietitian, kind of work it in there. And so that was a bonus too, further my education in the health field, but also use this information to, for my own healing journey was like a no-brainer for me. I had to, and knowing that the RCP, the training, the institute comes around usually twice a year. I knew I didn't want to wait another 6 months, so I took that leap and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah. And tell us about the experience coming in, with that dietetics background. Often, health professionals have a lot more unlearning to do. How did you find that process of coming in with all this background knowledge that I'm guessing a lot of it was, completely contradictory to what you're about to learn at the Institute?
It is. It's a complete 180, but I mean, I'm grateful that I have that health background and some of that training. Of course, my schooling, official schooling, I've been out for about 15 years. So it's been a little while, but it's its own unique challenge, because it does kind of fly in the face of everything we were taught. And so there's that little bit of you absolutely have to keep an open mind and be open to learning new concepts, new theories. And I love that Morley welcomes the challenge, Q&As are twice a month kind of thing, with the RCP community. It was a challenge for me though, because it's like now, even when I'm looking at blood work, like, okay, what does, all right, serum iron in my traditional training means this, but what does it mean in the RCP and TIBC? Okay, but it's low, the serum iron is low here, but that doesn't mean just throw more iron in the body. What else is going on? You have to ask deeper questions. And like I said, it's been a challenge, but I like a good challenge, and I like to sort of challenge the status quo, if you will. But even in my job now as a dietitian, I work with bariatric patients, so those before and after weight loss surgery, and it's ethically it's hard for me knowing what is pushed on these patients. Everybody's vitamin D is low. Everybody needs iron infusions, and take your calcium citrate and all these other things that now I'm like, no, let's stop. Maybe that's not the way. So it's a challenge, and then having that energy to try to fight what's been going on in an establishment for many, many years.
Yeah, that would be that would be a real challenge. And I guess, like you say, you are not about the status quo anymore. And I guess you wouldn't be here amongst the community if you were. So what did you enjoy about the Institute and about the course?
Oh, well, I mean, I love there was homework to do ahead of time, watch the pre-recorded videos, then the live classes with Morley and Kristan. There was the tutoring groups, kind of a little bit separate thing where we could dig a little deeper. There was a tutor there to answer our questions. I like that. Still to this day, one of my favorite things is having access to all the materials, so I can go back, and I do still go back. I listen to the recorded consults that Morley's done in the past, and even the recorded tutoring groups during my group. You know, I can go back and listen to those and just glean information and experience from people. I just can't seem to get enough of it. Like, you know, everybody's take on it is like slightly different. You know, okay, you can word it this way to make a little bit more sense to your client, or, you know, hearing something that one of the older alumni, you know, might say really makes sense and it clicks in a certain way. So I love having that access to it. I don't know. I'm still going back. I'm still learning from the training that I did a year and a half ago. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And we never stop, do we? Particularly in light of the fact that Morley is still doing his research every single day, and actually bringing that research, you know, into the alumni and into our community, and sharing what he's learning. And, you know, things do change based on what he is learning. And so there's always new information to take on, as well as, you know, that existing bank of really foundational information that's available to you once you've done the course. It's there, you know, on Kartra. You can access that anytime. And for myself, I will still tap into that as a resource from time to time. There's a lot of research housed there that you can, you know, if you're dealing with a particular client with a particular issue, you can go in and find that research to help you explain to them how the stress of their life is unfolding in their symptoms. So yeah, it's great to have that there. And for a lot of us, when we start out, we are suffering from brain fog and that inability to retain, you know, so much in-depth information. And so, you know, it's nice to have it there and be able to draw from that when you need. So I guess my last question, just to wrap us up, Meredith, is how has the RCP changed your life and perhaps the trajectory of your, you know, your future profession as well?
Well, yeah, it's definitely changed my life for the better. I'm grateful to Morley and to, you know, this protocol and the whole RCP community. I feel like I'm not really lost anymore. I'm not just searching for the next new shiny object and chasing things. There's a path, you know, and it might change, and that's a good thing, you know, little bits here and there as more, you know, research is read and it comes, you know, we come across it, but there is direction, you know, and we don't have to be perfect about things, but I have a path to follow. And I love that it's essentially going to be the same for everybody, you know, with tweaks here and there, of course, but I'm so grateful for this path that Morley's provided. So just grateful.
Yeah. And it does simplify it, doesn't it? It's, you know, it is like I think I said before, when the camera was off, that, you know, Morley would say that we think we're all snowflakes, but you know, essentially we all come from water. So
right.
in that, we, you know, we all have the basic foundational needs, which is what the RCP really covers, those bases. And yeah, you know, like you say, a path to follow, but also a community to be surrounded by, which I think, to have people walking the same journey as you, I know in my own healing has definitely just helped me so much. So
just a good fit, you know, the ancestral diet part of it goes right along with, you know, thankfully, you know, I ditched the low fat diet mentality years ago. So everything just really worked out so good for me. I'm really excited to see where this goes. And I mean, the RCP community is growing so fast, and that's really exciting. And I'm happy to be a part of it, really.
yeah. Well, thank you, Meredith. Thank you for sharing your journey so far. And I look forward to hearing, you know, as you embark on this journey, how your own health keeps improving, hopefully, and how you have a ripple effect in your own community when you're able to get out there and and really help people and guide them on the RCP. So I thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Amy.